Hello and welcome to this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. And I'm thrilled, honored, and grateful to have with me Robert Smith, who's the best-selling author ranked in the top 1% on IMDb. He's ranked number one with Moni, AXA, New York Life, John Hancock, Bank Atlantic. He literally wrote the Sales Genius #1, which is a new release, #1 new release on sales techniques, marketing, sales, business, you name it, call center management, you name it. And he leads Robert Smith Productions, which has got its hands in anything and everything to blow it up. I'm thrilled to have with me, Robert. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate it. And I'm sure all your salespeople out there are super competitive, and otherwise, why would you be in sales? I mean, it starts out that way. And you know, I learned it from sports. You know, played the first 10 years of baseball. We won the championship 8 different times on 10 different teams. And you just got to learn how to compete. Wow. So I had all my kids compete, and, you know, they never got in trouble. So I'm sure every parent out there is the same thing. You know, you learn to compete. So my first sales job was actually driving a Coca-Cola merchandising truck. And I started at the bottom of, you know, like 50 drivers in Sarasota, actually. And they give you the route farthest from the office. So you're spending all your time on the road and not delivering, because people don't realize you're not getting paid by the hour, you're getting paid by the case. So the more you can sell, you know, the more you can drop, the more money you make. So I started and worked my way up within 8 months, had the #1 route in the plant, and did that for 2 years. And,
so you literally just go door to door, and then when you get into the business, you try to sell them to buy a bunch of cases of Coke?
Well, yeah, you're not door to door, but you're basically, they assign you grocery stores, 7-Elevens, Circle K's, convenience stores, whatever it is. So you've got your pre-built route there. And it's just a matter of, once you get in, you got to walk into Publix or Kroger or whoever it is and say, man, you need a 1,000-case display in the front of your store. You need something that looks cool. Super Bowl's coming up, or what, World Series, whatever it is. That's awesome. Let's lock something in, and, you know, you build from there. But, you know, that's basically where I learned to compete. Went a little bit too far with it because, you know, not being the biggest guy out there. Right now I'm 5'10", 250, but at the time I was 5'10", 150. And we had this big hulk of a guy who could literally pick up an entire case of bottled, you know, 16-ounce 3 cases of Coke with one hand and load and unload his truck. So I challenged him who could unload their truck the fastest, and I beat him and then drove myself straight to the hospital because I had a hernia.
Oh, man.
So, you know, that basically ended the Coke career. So I asked my doctor, you know, what do I do? How do I get back? And he said, son, you need to find an office job. You're done. You're through with this kind of work. So I started with Mutual of Omaha, got actually in the insurance and financial services business.
Awesome. So I've got a lot of buddies that we're driving Lamborghinis and Ferraris from that business.
Oh, it's absolutely the greatest. I mean, I, you know, started with an insurance company within my first year, got my Series 7. So we started doing stocks and bonds, did all of that. And it was just great, but it was the most competitive business I've ever seen. And that's what I think attracts most of your audience, I would think, to sales is, there's no politics. It doesn't matter who you get along with. It doesn't matter, you know, if you're a brown nose or what you do, or, you know, office politics. It's whoever sells the most gets the best. And that's just all there is to it. So, you know, everything's ranked by production. So, you know, we went through all of that. I broke a ton of records at John Hancock, went over to Mutual in New York. We had about 10,000 agents and outside brokers. And right at the time, AXA, which at the time, 20 years ago, was the largest financial service company in the world, was absorbing money. I ranked #1 out of, you know, all 10,000 of those agents across the world. And it was just a matter of changing the focus and the practice. And what I did differently from everybody else was adapted a storytelling model. So when I sat down with clients, it wasn't just facts and figures and, you know, if you invested, you know, 10 grand a month, this is where you're going to be at 65. No, it was stories of clients. And this is what my other client did. And this is how they succeeded. And then I had another client I gave the same advice to, and they went in the other direction. So here's a contrast of millionaire client A and failure client B. And, you know, we went through it, and I actually did, it's funny, you know, projected off of that and did some sales and marketing materials. It took forever to get through the large companies. They want, you know, 6 months of compliance just to run a single ad. We ran a newspaper ad back in 1993 in January when President Clinton took office. He signed the largest tax increase in the history of the world. And I thought, man, I know how to beat that. So we had to get out in front of it. So we literally sent an ad out just in a small town newspaper. It cost me $500. with a picture of him looking concerned with a big headline. He signed the largest tax increase in the history of the world. Call us to find out how you can beat it. And within 1 month, I did more business than I did the previous year. And then from that, I was just perennial, $1 million roundtable production from there. And it was just a matter of, knowing how to advertise, knowing how to tell a story, getting people emotionally involved, which is a key to sales, and going from there. So then we took that and started doing magazines and newspapers and did a lot of financial columns, got a lot of business that way. And what I learned was the storytelling worked. I actually wrote a superhero comic book based on life insurance and annuity sales.
That's awesome.
And I used that to get to be number 1 out of 10,000 agents. And with that, you got to know how to close, obviously.
So what do you mean you use that to become 1 out of 10,000? Like how? So you created this comic book and then what?
Yeah, basically just, told the story to clients about, like if they're considering annuities, we went back and talked about it's the only financial product in the history of the world that guarantees you an income you cannot outlive. And do you want to invest everything you have in it? Of course not. But do you want to invest part of it so that no matter what gambles you're taking in the stock market, your family's going to be set for life with your insurance. You're going to be set with your income. Everything's cool. So we actually, and anybody that wants to take a look at it can, just send me an email, robert@robertjsmith.com, and I'll send them a copy of that. And it really opens up all the college funding needs, and there's sales psychology built up into it. And it reduces the 2 biggest barriers to sales success that I found in 30 plus years. And that's procrastination, because they want, I'll take care of it tomorrow, or let me talk to my attorney. Let me talk to my accountant. Yeah. Call me back in a month. And this eliminates all of that. And the other thing it eliminates is indecision. It basically puts people on the spot. You're in charge of your own financial destiny. It's your decision to make. You got to make the decision right now. And if you wait, if you procrastinate, if you delay, if you can't decide, you're making a decision not to do something, which is oftentimes worse than a decision to do something. And I developed a liquidity close for this client because it was on a large estate case. And it was funny. I had him draw a picture for me, and I had him stack up a bunch of cash all the way up to the top of a house. And I won't get into the whole close, but basically with his own drawing and with him telling me what he wanted, I went through the close and showed him how we would always have liquidity. And because of that one case, I made 110 grand in 1 day off that case. And,
unbelievable.
When I first started, I was happy to make 110 grand a year. Now I'm making it in a day. And, you don't do it every day, but right. You got to know how to close. And if somebody wants to know, the liquidity close for financial services or any large ticket item, I'll be happy to share it with them, because I've shared it with other guys. And I've taken people who did zero financial service production. Then all of a sudden within 6 months, they're doing, $1 million roundtable production, which ranks you in the top 1% of all financial advisors in the world. Same thing with mortgage brokers. I've developed concepts for them, for realtors, you name it. So we can basically tailor make any program. But, if anybody calls in, we can get them set up and do do their sales and marketing material. But basically what I do is just I do a flat consulting fee for everyone, $2,000 a month, and it's up to 20 hours a month. So whether that's content writing on their website, developing their sales and marketing materials, whatever it is, we just get them going. I had a mortgage broker, never made 50 grand in his entire life. I worked with him. Within 6 months, he was making 300 grand.
Wow.
So it's just a matter of, knowing how to target your prospects, how to bring them in, how to get those appointments, how to convert them in, and how to close them. Because if you can't close, you're not a salesperson.
That's awesome, man. And so now you're running your own company so is that what you sell permanently now, is your pretty much like your consulting, your sales
Right.
consulting for financial advisors?
Yeah, basically financial advisors and really any type of business. I mean, we're getting a lot of other companies that come in. We do mortgage, like I said, real estate. I've got veterans doing nonprofit causes that come to me for consulting. We do, commercials for them. It's basically whatever business anyone's in. And it's funny because, I was thinking about writing a book on how to make the top 1% because, I reached that in financial services years ago. Then I had a couple of rear end collision car accidents, had my neck broken in one, had my back broken in another. And when I was
why are you getting in so many car accidents?
I don't know. And I'm parked both times, right? So it's, the odds of that are like getting struck by lightning twice. But
wow.
Long and the short of it, 14 surgeries and rehab and all that. So I'm not doing personal financial production anymore. but I'm just leaning back on showing other people how to do what I did, and what worked for me over the years works for everybody right now. And
That's
it's funny
awesome.
how many people just grab a hold of it and run with it.
Yeah, and we're dying to hear your number one top sales secret, why and how the audience can execute. But real quick, so you've got your Robert J. Smith Consulting Services.
Mhm.
Average deal size you said is around 2,000 a month, 24,000 a year, right?
Right. Yeah. So they're not huge deals, but you get 10 of them going and you got a pretty decent income.
Oh yeah, and then what else? Oh, sales cycle. What's the average like sales cycle for your services?
Yeah. For me, it's a day. I mean, I talked to somebody.
Quick, like one call closing.
Yeah. It's a one call deal. It's either you like it or you don't like it. And, we're at 80% close rate. So we're doing all right with it.
That's amazing. 80% close rate. Okay, cool. And what's your number one source of leads today?
You guys, Seamless, man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
By
By the way, audience, that was not teed up. That's amazing.
That's the way it is, though.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. Lead gen, close rate 80%, one call close, 2,000 MRR, 25,000 roughly in ARR. That's awesome. Selling the consulting services. Okay, so that guy's why we're doing this new way. The new show is we want to give you context into what is the top thing being sold, and then what's the top sales secret. So you understand the sales cycle. So if you do high ticket, low ticket, you can relate it all. Awesome. All right, Rob, the number one thing that people come here for. They're dying for it. Then what is your top sales secret, from your entire career? If you had to go back in time and just apply or leverage one thing, one secret, what is your number one top sales secret? And then we'll get into why and how the audience executes.
Yeah. I mean, hands down, it's one word. It's storytelling. If you can tell stories in your business and get your clients excited and fired up and ready to move, that's all it takes. Because features and benefits might have sold in the 50s and 60s. They don't sell anymore. People need to get excited. And you got to have case studies. You got to have stories. I did a financial conference back in 2015 out in Scottsdale, Arizona. Spoke to hundreds of financial advisors. And it's funny, it was on the same ticket as Tucker Carlson, and I didn't see him speak because I was too busy doing my thing. But it was I've been giving seminars and doing the same financial seminars everybody else has been doing for almost 30 years. And I got into this thing, and it was funny. I start my talk, and I see people perk up and get excited, and all of a sudden everybody's whipping their phones out and they're texting, and I'm thinking, what the hell's going on? And we were already at capacity when we started, and by the time we were done, people were lined up all the way down the sides, all the way down the back of the hotel meeting room, and then all the way outside. And they were like getting a hold of their friends saying, hey, how's your meeting going? And because they told me later, and they said, yeah, it's lousy. This guy's no good. And they said, come listen to this guy. And I've never seen it anywhere, but we started with a few hundred and we ended up, closer to 1,000 by the time they were done. It was crazy.
And just from all the storytelling.
Yeah. And basically just showing people that, like for myself personally, the day I switched to storytelling, I started making every month what I used to make in a year. And that's the difference. I mean, you go literally.
Do you have like an example of like the before versus the after? What would you do when you would make all that money in a year versus when you would make it in a month? Like the way that you would pitch.
Yeah, I mean, I literally didn't know about storytelling, and I read it in a book somewhere. Because it's like every other salesman. You're reading everything, get your hands on. You're trying to get whatever edge you can find, and then I just opened up, this financial storytelling, and I started using it with my clients. So I'd have someone that, they'd have a large pile of money, and they say, we're not ready for an estate plan. We're not ready to go. And I'd say, hey, it's now or never. And they said, what do you mean? So I'd go into a story. And I said, I got a buddy of mine. This is a true story. I had a client won like $140 million in the Pennsylvania lottery. My buddy did an estate plan for him, and he wanted to shop the insurance around rather than just take it and move on and get on with it. So while he was screwing around and procrastinating, he had a non-fatal heart attack, and he didn't die, but he was no longer insurable. So the fact that he couldn't come back and get the insurance no matter how much he begged, it cost his family roughly $50 million in estate taxes back then. So, I tell that story to my client, and my client literally says, here's my check. Like, let's sign right now. And they don't want to screw around with it. And you just got to find a way to create urgency and move your people. And the best way that, no matter what business your people are in, is they can use examples of other clients. clients who succeeded, clients who failed. And, they're all over the place. Bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's amazing. Wow. And then what's your number one story that you tell? Like out of all the stories that you tell, what's the best one?
Well, the best one that I would give a financial.
You just told a bunch of stories, actually. In the 20 minutes we've already been here, you've already told probably 5-10 different stories. But when you're selling, what's the number one best story?
I don't like to tell the story of myself, but people always ask me, what happened with you? And, I went from, the top 1% in financial services worldwide, number one in the world with money, AXA, and then, had the back broken, had all that, and literally couldn't travel anymore, couldn't give speeches anymore, couldn't meet with clients. And for about a year, I couldn't walk. So what the hell am I going to do if I can never walk again? So I thought, well, I know I can tell stories.
This is from those accidents, or is this?
Yeah, directly from the accidents. Yeah. Wow. I got to the point where, I bought a couple of canes, and I, was walking with two canes, whether it was Disney or just to go to the grocery store or whatever it was, and using them like leg braces and dragging my carcass around. And then sometimes I'd walk and I'd have to stop because I literally couldn't take another step because my legs didn't remember how to walk. So, did all that, and I thought, what can I do if I end up in a wheelchair, which I wasn't yet, but I was on my way, before the last surgery. And I thought, well, I can write. So I can screenwrite, I can write articles, I can ghostwrite for people. So we ghostwrite books, we do financial articles, we do website content, we do basically anything anybody needs written, we can write it. And it's funny because the same lessons that you learn in sports when you learn how to compete as a kid, no matter what it's with, within a year I was in the top 1% on IMDb, which is the Internet Movie Database for short films and for movies and so forth. And I don't know if you've had him on one of your calls or not, but Jordan Belfort, The Wolf of Wall Street, had a sales book come out the same time ours went out, and I did that with 20 other financial advisors, mostly in the United Kingdom and around the world. There were a couple of us here in North America, Canada, and so forth. And his book came out the same time as ours, and he was number 2 in the USA, number 2 in the UK, and we were number 1. So it's just, it's a kick. Because I've got great respect for the guy. The guy does great work, and anytime you can compete on the same level with someone like that, you're probably doing something right.
That's amazing. Yeah, so you took up the writing. And would you say when you were number 1 with AXA and with New York, was it the same thing? You would say it's because of storytelling?
Oh, absolutely. Storytelling, guaranteed. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Like without a doubt, you're like, dude, it's because of storytelling.
Yeah, that's all there is. I mean, if you can learn how to tell a story and combine it with your sales, and we consult with people, that's what we do. We just, what's your product? What are you trying to sell? And we ask them a million questions about other, case studies they've got or whatever it is. And then we take them with, case studies we've learned from other people in the same industry or similar industries. And, we help them develop their story and then put it out there. And whether it's, doing a documentary on their business, whether it's TV commercials or whether it's just straight content, we provide it all to them and we help them work it through.
Wow. Amazing. And then how does the audience, this is getting into a little bit of your secret sauce, right? But you said storytelling is the number one secret. Mm-hmm. If I'm a listener, we'll have thousands of people listening into this episode. How do I start telling story? Like, where do I start? Like, if it's brand new to me and I don't even know, how to execute. How does the audience execute this secret?
Well, yeah, it goes back to, standing on the shoulders of giants. If you're, let's say you're selling, racing systems or something, or you're selling something that's going to help somebody's car go faster. And then you look at, what Ford did when they competed with Ferrari. That movie just came out last year. And you use stories of other people. I'm saying, well, this isn't how we did it, but this is how Henry Ford did it, or this is how somebody else did it, or this is how somebody in my office did it, or, whatever it is. Or, my grandfather once taught me, I've got a million grandfather stories. I'm sure everybody does. My grandfather was a gunner on a B-29 in World War II. I've got a million stories and I've used those at work, and it's just funny. But, if you're brand new and you don't have your own stories, just leverage the stories of other people. It doesn't matter if you know them or not. But the main thing you have to remember is they got to be factual. They got to be honest. You can't embellish anything. You got to tell the truth. And as long as you tell the truth, people are going to know you're telling the truth, and they're going to trust you, and they're going to follow, because nobody is going to buy anything from you if they don't trust you. So, as long as you're telling honest stories that are correct, you can't miss. And if you're brand new, those stories will come. Every time you're out making a sale, you're developing new stories, and you're watching what your clients do, and you see, it doesn't matter what business you're in. Like for example, I'm sure you've got people who started their business from scratch with nothing. And then overnight, they're billing $100,000 a month or whatever they're doing. So, those are the types of stories that you use.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I'm dying to get you into the 6 and 7 figure club, but you may already be there, but I can't wait to hear more about that later. Awesome. Robert Smith, thank you so much, my man. You got to tell stories. He gave you the walkthrough of the play-by-play, how to do it, how to document it. And if you don't have any, then just leverage the stories of others and be authentic and factual. That's amazing. Where can the audience connect with you, learn from you, to get more?
Sure, yeah. Go straight to the websites. The author website that we have is just robertjsmith.com. Pretty easy to remember. And then if you need, film production, television commercials, you want to do a documentary on your business, you want to take it further, just go to robertjsmithproductions.com. And they both link back and forth. So if you get to either one, you'll find the other one.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. Pick up your copy of the book and tune into all the episodes at secretsalesbook.com. Secretsalesbook.com. That's secretsalesbook.com. Every Monday and Thursday, we release new episodes and top secrets from the world's best sales experts. So subscribe, tune in, cast in, whatever you got to do, and look forward to seeing you on the next show.
Thank you, Brandon.